Good night, everyone. Kim and Chris back with another episode of Rambling Tea Time. How are you guys doing?
Hey guys, what's going on?
We're just gonna get straight into it. While eating something that these characters will never eat, we reviewed A Quiet Place.
Okay, interesting
Yes, they would
transition.
never eat chips.
Well, yeah, that's a death sentence.
Too bad. Unfortunate. Sad, really.
So we gave this
Yeah.
movie a watch because neither one of us had actually seen it when it came out at the time.
Yeah.
And by now there is a sequel. So,
Yeah. The
kind of
sequel
already,
came out last year.
I think
Last
so.
year.
And apparently there are plans for even further sequels down in the future, but those haven't
Yeah.
been like released yet.
There's. I can't believe they're wanting to even do
Yeah,
another part for some reason.
I and you know how these things do. They always find a way to turn a thing into a series, and they'll probably focus on different people and stuff like that.
In my opinion, there shouldn't have been a sequel.
The first movie was great. I think that I really liked how it started. We get the day 89, and it just like show you very quiet. I almost thought that the movie really is very quiet, and you get introduced to our family, who we don't even learn has names until like the second movie,
Right.
because nobody's talking and everybody's doing sign language. I just like how they set up that everything has consequences, and noise, no matter what, is bad. And they set that up with the youngest being yeeted within the first like 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah. That's like the opening.
Yeah, and then the opening crawl happens with the title drop.
I think that was the best part of the movie, to be honest with you.
The very beginning, the
Yeah.
cold, brutal open, and the
Yeah,
child getting
it
murdered.
shows you immediately, like you said, what the reality of this world is that they're living in.
Yeah,
Immediately.
yeah.
It's like no games, no sport, no beating around the bush to tell the audience what is what.
We
It's
see
like
everybody running around with their no shoes on,
exactly.
flat foot, to make very little noise. So you're like, okay, can't make noise. The family knows sign language because the daughter was a deaf from before. So I remember we were saying something about how they kind of have an advantage
Right.
but even though they're still monsters and they're still everybody can get eaten by them, the fact that the family was like already predisposed to knowing something that, well, it's a silent language.
That's not the only thing either, right? Because they're obviously the parents are obviously intelligent people.
Yes, as we clearly see.
Highly. And whatever their skills from whatever it is that they used to do or whatever, they're capable
Of doing
of
stuff.
this survival hunker down shit.
Yeah,
You know
'cause
what I mean?
It's 8
That
9 days is like a few months.
exactly. I feel like they're not the regular family in the apocalypse. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have followed them, but what would it have been like if they showed a family who wasn't doing sign language and they realized that it was, they had to be quiet and they came up with their own language.
Because they didn't have sign language or anything
Right,
like
they
that.
came up with their own sign language, you know?
I can see that. I think maybe a show is probably where they're going to like approach that angle, probably from like a normal person who doesn't have like a exposure to sign language or anything like that. But I really like how they're like the kid picks a toy and almost drops it on the ground, and it gets saved by the older sister. And that older sister is the same one who turns around and give him back that toy when the father was like, it is too loud. Now I understand the youngest being the youngest and probably may not understanding the situation since it's like still like very early, but still they still know to keep quiet. But
Or
it,
maybe he wanted to get out of there.
I don't know, man. The moment when he got the toy, and then the father takes it away and took out the batteries, and he's like, it's too loud, and they walk out of the area where they were scavenging, and then the deaf sister gives him the toy, and then he picks at the batteries. I was like, I wonder who he's going to get killed. It turns out he gets himself killed.
Yeah. I think that the father should have taken the batteries. I mean, I'm no survivalist. I want to be, I'm interested in that kind of like stuff. However, I would think that batteries would be useful, but I guess
Probably
they
didn't need
decided
them
that
any
they
at the time.
weren't.
Probably didn't need any at that
But
time.
anyways, I would have still given him the toy, but not with the batteries.
I would have made sure that we weren't the last people. He wasn't the last one just trailing behind
Right,
us.
right.
But I feel they had gotten comfortable in making that all the kids knows what to do and stuff like that. But he just made one mistake, and then that sound, and then that's when we first see the creatures. I mean, we were like,
Right.
and I remember when we first, like, we were like just first 5 minutes, and we're like, oh yeah, we're in. The fact that they're
Yeah.
like killing kids right
When
out the
when
bat.
when that happened, I was like, this is going to be a good movie. And it's not like I want to see children dying. That's not have anything to do with it, but it immediately showed us how serious this
Everything
new
was,
world, this
yes.
apocalyptic world
It
was.
does not give a shit.
Exactly. Even
Absolutely.
if you a kid,
And it was so fucking fast. It was
yeah,
just like, oh, these are things that we can't fight against.
exactly,
Because they're fast as fuck.
exactly.
They're worse than... When I saw the thing coming up from the bushes, I was like, wait, what was that? And then you just see things just like... You don't even see it properly when it grabs the kid. You just see the blur. And it's just like... Oh, shit. And they can't make noise. You can't cry.
Yeah.
You can't make
I mean, you
audible
can
noise.
cry silently. It reminded me of, do you remember in school we had a teacher who used to tell us to laugh silently?
Yes, I remember her.
Oh my goodness. I started to laugh silently because of her, and I know how to do it, right? And that reminded me, this movie reminded me of those days in school when she would be like, I need y'all to like, be quiet right now, and everyone just be like miming
Miming one
stuff.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it jumps forward about a year or so.
Yeah.
A year into it.
And the mother is pregnant.
And the mother is pregnant. And
Now, my question is, was that on purpose?
it seems that because we see that they have a little compound and they have certain things set up and stuff to like, so they, like we were saying, like you said earlier, they're clearly intelligent, and they seem to have a system set up.
Right.
So, and then we later on we realize, okay, they have like a thing for where the baby is going to be born. They have a whole thing with the oxygen for the baby, so that when it's inside this casket, this soundproof casket, so they can't hear the baby crying and stuff like that. So it's like they probably did plan for this, or at least when they realized that she
On
was
purpose,
pregnant.
they decided to bring a baby into this world.
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
that
It's
is-
like, okay, I know, I want to know, like, they wanted to have a kid. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, like, not that they like had sex and then used contraception, but it failed. Okay, not like that, and then it was like,
No.
oops, well, I guess we're gonna have to have the baby.
mean,
But I
like,
mean, like, if they
actually planned
actively
it
were like, we're gonna have a kid
in the apocalypse.
and do.
Because one of the funny thing is, I was saying this like after the little kid got killed, and before we realized that she was pregnant, that like if these things react to sound, you can't be having kids
Exactly.
like in normal ways. You have to be actually like having them and placing them in somewhere safe or super underground or something like that. And then we see that it follows up and answers that question. So I assume that I want to say they planned for it, which is at the same time
Not planned for it, planned it.
planned it. I want to say that they did. I want to say that they did because the way where we see how all the different things and the newspapers, and they seem to have a super understanding of what's going on, and they've planned to make sure for
Okay, but
stuff.
why would you do that?
I don't know, dude. Life goes on? Question mark. It feels like they got cocky, or they were far enough along that they decided that they could have a kid, or they just wanted to replace the kid that they lost. I don't know, man. But that was my biggest issue. Is like babies cry a lot
Exactly. Why would you have
at
a
any point in time.
liability?
Exactly.
I don't. It's something for me. Is I don't know how. Why every week now? It's like I don't know how to understand things. But I really don't understand why you would do that. Not just to yourself, but why would you do that to the kid? It's
Bring
like
them in.
you decided. I'm just saying, if they decided
Yeah.
on it before they did the deed, they were like, we're gonna bring a kid into this apocalyptic world,
Yeah.
all happy smiles on their faces. It's
Yeah.
like, are you sane right now?
I do this I do like that. The movie in my opinion isn't scary, but there's a certain level of tension that is just brought on and not being able to speak. Because anything above a little clap is the sound demons are right at our door.
About that. About that.
About what?
So, fire crackles when it makes noise.
Yes,
And the
sometimes.
father apparently had been making fire signals, in case people were around.
Yeah, but it was like a pit fire and it was high above, but it wasn't like if they were throwing dry wood all the time into it to crackle. It was more of like a
All right, all
a
right.
fire that was fueled by
And
like
then
oil.
at the end, I know I'm jumping way ahead,
Way
but
ahead. It's
at
fine.
the end, their barn goes up in flames,
Uh-huh.
and we don't see any creatures like run towards it, like
Hmm.
all come out there. I don't get that, because fire does make sound
Yes.
when it is,
Burning stuff and things like that. I don't know. Like they said, certain stones that start stuff, and it's not gonna go to like the waterfall where the father took the son to like teach him what sounds and making noise close
I
to the
get
water to
that.
stuff.
Right, having bigger sounds
I don't know
around.
how the creatures
But
can
here's the
tell
thing.
which is an actual
They
sound.
they didn't want to step on the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
But fire is no issue. I don't think that.
I don't know. It depends, dude. I really don't know because fire doesn't need to make noise. That's why they were making the pit fire, and it wasn't like they're trying stuff into it, but just oil, and it was high up off the ground. So that I guess it'll probably not making enough noise to draw attention.
Okay, fine.
I don't know, but where the hell did the sound monsters, sound demons hang out though? Because it seems like they just appear out of the air the moment something like just a clap or a touch or hit a table, or they just suddenly like, we are here, we have arrived on the premises, where are your children for dinner? Where
Do
do they
they
actually
even
hide?
eat the people? They just kill them.
I mean, you're
We
not
don't
wrong.
really know anything exactly. We don't see them eat
People,
or do anything really.
they
We
just
just see
kinda
them
kill them.
attack, and we know that they're dead, and because they die. But do they eat people?
I assume that they do. Well, they're massively huge monster creatures that are just running around eating or killing people. I assume that they don't see us as anything but prey. But we never see where they're like hang out or where they actually are. Or do they hide underground or stuff like
Yeah,
that?
we don't know, because in the prequel sequel, we only see that they're aliens, and I guess their origin is that they're
From outer
aliens.
space, which is fine.
And on some of the newspapers, I guess it was saying that they're aliens. However, we don't know anything about them
All we know
except
is that
about what
there's
was written on the guy's
yeah,
thing. Their weakness we don't know,
yeah.
but we know that they're blind, and it's sound that
They used to track you down.
it's not very
We don't know.
much.
Right. My biggest issue is just like, do they come from underground or something? Because they just seem to be like everywhere.
No, you think that they live underground?
I don't know. Maybe in the trees or something. I don't because how far is their hearing range that they just like pop out of the ether and be like, we're here. We've always been here. You know. Like I remember when we were watching it, as like, what happens when you just like fart, a stray fart, you
Or
know,
sneeze.
or a sneeze,
Yeah.
or you go to the toilet and you have a really bad time and it just makes noise. Like, are you dead? What about you can't pee into a toilet anymore either because that makes noise.
And in the opening, actually, the little boy, the second child, he was sick. I thought that he was sickly or something, but he couldn't even make a noise either. So, having a cold or something would be like,
Ah,
could be a death sentence.
yeah, and especially if you're like young and man, just being sick is a death sentence in this world. I mean, you just walking through the goddamn field and you just sneeze or something tickle your nose or whatever, and it's like you're dead.
Yeah.
You're super dead. Uh, but yeah, we don't. I think that's fine though.
What is fine? We don't really know anything about them.
Yeah, all we need to know is sound, and they get you if they hear you.
Yeah.
So yeah, but overall, the
You're
first
overalling
no no
already?
no 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 no. I like this movie,
You
but
mean
there
A
were
Quiet
a
Place?
quiet place. I like a quiet place. There are a few things that I have issues with.
I think most of my issues come in the second part.
Oh well,
And
yeah yeah.
I did some I did not even do heavy research. I just used Wikipedia, and it turns out that John Krasinski, he actually wrote the second part. It wasn't written by the original guys that wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember their name, Brody and somebody. Anyhow, so I'm not saying that because he wrote it that it's no good, but it is no good for me.
Ah okay.
I don't like the second part.
Ah
It feels like a complete shift in atmosphere, and I get that you can have that after the death of a character because his character did die. However,
however.
it feels it doesn't flow properly,
Mm,
and it was not planned. As we can see, they
yeah.
filmed after when the kids had
Could tell because the kids are a
older.
bit older. It's still like very close to the time
It
of when
isn't. That boy is like a foot taller.
yes, he is.
He no.
And it
Um,
looks like the girl, some scenes, her hair color is changing as well. I don't know if this is the light, but for me, it looked
let's
like.
just go with it's the light. Some people have that hair. I
Yeah,
don't
I
have a
know.
problem with her looking how she looked,
Yeah, but
but
she still
the
looks
son
the
is
same.
like, dude, you a man now.
Yeah.
You were a boy, but you a man now.
He could clearly see because his cheeks have gotten a little fuller and his shoulders
Chris,
have
he's
gotten
a
a little
whole
bit.
foot taller.
He's a
What do you
whole
mean you
foot
can clearly see
taller.
because his arms?
I
No.
mean, like you could
Yeah.
tell that he's getting bigger and he's going through puberty. So yeah.
Goodness gracious. But I could let go of that.
Uh huh.
It was the story after though was not very good, I feel.
I
They
see.
try to want to turn it into a whole like it's the people of the world now that we need to focus on who are like bad or are worse than the creatures or they became something more
It
horrible, and
it
then they gave the girl like a mission. She's going to
uh
be like, yeah, I'm going to be like my dad, fight and save these people. If my dad would do it, that kind of
well,
thing.
let's just go back to the first movie and then the dad was making what was I guess like a hearing aid for her to hear,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
Because
goodness. Before you go on, I have to say, there's no reason
uh-huh.
why she couldn't go down there to see what he was doing. So
You mean down the
I
stairs?
don't know why he stopped her from going
Oh.
down there. After we saw what he was doing, I do not understand why.
I guess he didn't want them down there playing around with the equipment. I just the biggest assumption that I have.
It's not good enough for me.
But the dad was building a little hearing aid, and you can see that he was been doing this for a while now. And they have a little conversation where she's like, "It doesn't work. It never works, and it's not gonna work for me."
Right, I
And
assumed that she could probably actually hear a bit
but it's very, very,
before
very
even, but because now that everything is all
yeah.
messed up, whatever. So he tried to do it himself.
And he gives it to her. She tests it out. It doesn't really work at all until later when I guess how does she figure it out that it works against the monsters?
This is another thing. She should have figured it out sooner than she did. So
Well, right,
she
it's when
figures
there
it
was this
out
at
when they were
night.
down
Yeah.
in the. This is after he is killed, actually, that she figures it out.
Because she was out in one of the bushes one time and she's having issues with it, and as the monster gets closer to
She
her,
doesn't know
she
that
doesn't
then,
realize
though.
it then, but then she realizes it down inside after.
Right, she realizes it after the dad is dead and
Yeah.
they're all down in the basement area, and
Hiding.
the baby is crying and the monsters are coming, and when it makes the sound again, it affects the monster and she sees that, and then she does the thing. However, she should have realized it when her and her brother were in the silo. Do you remember
Oh.
when they pulled the door, the silo door,
Mm-hmm.
over, and they were holding onto it and the creature was attacking them, and I
Yes.
don't understand how it didn't kill them, but
There are certain points in this movie
whatever.
where the people live because
They shouldn't have.
they
There
shouldn't
shouldn't have
have.
several times. That's one
That was
instance
one
for
of
me.
them.
They
There should
should
have
have
been
been
dead.
dead.
Super dead.
And
In the car as well at the
her
end.
her thing made the sound there,
Yeah.
and the creature, I guess
Freaked
because
out.
she couldn't see the creature, but it was growling and making the
Yeah,
noises
yeah,
that
yeah.
you could tell that something is wrong with it,
Yes.
right? And at that time I feel that she should have gotten it then, but
Nah.
she didn't get it.
Struggling to live to survive.
I guess so. And only afterwards did she get it. And since we're talking about places where they should have died, we saw how the side of the silo looked after the monster left.
Yes.
It was ripped the hell open,
And then when they're in the car
exactly, the
and
truck.
they're at the
It
truck,
doesn't make no
why it
sense
couldn't rip through
that
the
they
truck?
wouldn't be dead there again.
Exactly. They
The
should have
dad
been dead.
he didn't have to die either. If he had just taken one of the tools and threw it in the shed at the other tools or other stuff, why would he have to try to attack it? You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
make some other noises over there. They got a bunch of stuff. I don't
It's the
understand.
quickest, most
He was all like,
reliable way.
I always love you. And I'm like,
You can see throughout the movie she's like dealing with like some sort of guilt because she feels bad for what happened to the younger brother because she gave him the toy and then he grabbed the batteries and then he played with the toy and got yeeted, you know? But yeah, then she got her dad killed.
and then
Oh my god.
this not a show. This movie just tells you that you shouldn't have children.
Jeez.
That they're a liability in apocalyptic times, and why would you have another child on purpose, actually? Several times. This is proven to not be good.
I remember asking you at the end of the movie if that was a good trade.
The dad for the baby.
Dad for the baby.
I mean, what can the baby do?
Nothing.
When is it going to start walking?
Until
When is it
hits,
going to
like,
start hunting for itself and helping us with the chores?
Not
It
until
cannot
reach,
even
like,
clean
10.
itself. All it does is cry 10 hours of the day.
Uh-huh.
You telling me that it's a fair trade-off when we had a guy who was like some smart genius man?
built a
I don't think so.
the fact that the defective hearing aid then goes on to be super useful and frequency that fights back against the monster. He's the hero at the end of the day. He is the hero.
That's what, you know what, I like that ending.
Me
I
too.
know that it was sad and tragic, and then after
But it
some
was
people
good.
see it, you be like, oh my gosh, no, how could that happen? How could this be the end? And you maybe even want more. But the part two that we got was insufficient for me.
Yes. I do appreciate them at the beginning of part 2 movie.
Trying to do that flashback.
They give us the flashback
That's
to
the
day one.
only that's the only good
That's
thing
really good.
about part two.
Yeah.
Because we had seen that maybe they were saying they were aliens, and then they said that they were aliens. So that's at least something we know. You
But
know?
we get to see how everybody reacted on that day and how fast it occurred. Because it was just like the thing crashing, and then all of a sudden, like, it crashed far away, you know?
That's what I was saying as well. It crashed really far away, but
And
then
all of a
within
sudden, like,
minutes.
you could still see the thing burning.
Exactly.
Like, in the distance. And it was like, then all of a sudden,
Within minutes,
the friggin'
it
things.
was over into their town.
Because, I mean, we know they're fast.
Right.
We've seen that they're fast. But then it just is like, okay, these things they don't care.
Oh my goodness,
about
that's
distance.
another thing. That is another thing. So none of the aliens must have not been nearby at the beginning of the second. So they left their home that they were at, and they were going to where they saw the light, right? Because they saw a light like in the mountains or something.
Yeah.
And it's like some kind of old factory
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. So when the mom walks in, she trips this wire, and a whole bunch of
Bottles, a
bottles jangle down. Obviously, man-made trap.
And then they start to run.
Exactly. They start to run, but no creatures come yet.
Not yet.
And then even
The sun.
the sun falls on a bear trap or animal trap, whatever kind of trap you want to call it, and it gets caught.
He held it in for like a second, but then the
He tried.
scream.
When he saw his leg,
You just-
he could not. And just let it go. And I mean, anybody would be like that, to be honest, right? But it still did not show
They
up
didn't show up
fast
instantaneously.
enough. That
No.
was strange to me. I was like, did they get slower in part 2?
No, they just weren't probably in that area.
Sure, okay. That's what I decided to believe, that none of them were close by.
I believe that even though these things can hear super fucking good and they're like, goddamn, the fastest man alive times 1,000, they still take a while to get to places if they're not like, in the
if they're far
vicinity.
away, yeah.
Right? So I'm gonna give that one to the movie. I'm gonna be like, sure.
Right.
But then they still showed up like pretty freaking quick. And then they did the whole sound blaster thing and then shot it. And somebody's watching them.
Yeah.
It turns out that a guy that they knew in their neighborhood, or a person that they knew around from before, and he's been living there by himself.
Right.
In like some weird, where is it? It's like in a factory, and then like what do you call one of those sealing off rooms where he carried them? Like I don't know, but it's like a. What do you call it?
Asking me, I
don't know what you call it. I know what it is.
It was some kind of vacuum sealed
type of
shell area.
Yeah.
You know, where I don't know. It's the kind that you find in banks or they're used as furnaces as well.
That look kind of looked maybe like it was supposed to be a furnace type of thing.
Could be.
But yeah, he's hiding out there.
Right.
And this is where all of my issues with this movie start.
Okay, tell us.
So they have a map, and they're listening to the daughter's like, I guess, like trying to figure out different areas where and stuff where they can go or whatnot. And when the boy gets hurt, she puts on the headphones on him and is cycling through the radio. Mm-hmm. And then they hear a thing saying that Beyond the Sea is a repeating like song that's been playing forever. The guy that's been there says it's the only thing that plays and it doesn't make any sense. Don't worry about it. The little deaf girl figures out that Beyond the Sea is a message for it's not just like a repeating loop, but it's a message to like go off the coast. And she says that the signal is coming from somewhere that's on an island, right? My issue is, why didn't you tell anybody else about this before you go off by your own? Mm-hmm. Then the guy, Emmett, is then asked by the mother, can you please go get my daughter?
Yeah, that was cool. Wasn't that in poor taste?
It was like, this man already lost his wife.
Right, and his children.
And now you're telling him.
And you also lost a kid and your husband, so you should be a little more understanding. I know that your daughter is out there, and you know it's whatever, but you can't tell someone because she says she's worth saving. I'm like, listen. If we can talk about the worth of people's lives, that's really
that's a real bold statement.
Yeah.
When the worth of everybody's life is one free meal for those song demons that run in both.
Exactly. What about all the people who have been killed? Were they not worth saving? Should they have not been alive?
So
It's like trying to save fate and falling into survival of the fittest kind of. That's the kind of slope it feels like for me. I thought it was poor taste for her to say that to him.
so I hate this. This part is annoying. So he goes after her. He eventually meets up with her. She almost gets like a bit of a sound demon inside the train. He saves her. Whatever. She explained the situation to him. He eventually decides, okay, let's go. Now, let's put that there. That is fine. We cut back to the mother and son. They're inside the bunker off area, and he is nursing back his leg or whatever.
Right.
And she decides that she's going to go out to get more oxygen and meds.
Right. She needs to get medication
For
definitely
him,
for him.
and the oxygen for the baby.
Right. Because you can't just leave a wound like his just open.
Exactly.
There's infection.
Even if you clean it, you still need medication
exactly,
to kill whatever else is inside. So I understand why she's going out.
I have no problems with her having gone out.
Okay. She leaves the son behind. She's like, you know what to do. You just need to take care. Just wait for me, and I can't bear losing you. I'll be safe. I know what to do. I know where I'm going. Right? So she leaves.
Right.
This stupid kid decides that it is now the time to be walking around in the place, snooping about, and then comes across, I guess, the corpse of the guy's dead wife, because he can't bury her or anything, so she's there.
It wasn't the poor boy's fault, whoever wrote him that way.
No, I'm not.
I am blaming the writers, because before his character. That's character assassination.
Yes.
And it was minimal, but
it was just,
for me, it's going backwards in his timeline.
Yes. He wouldn't do this.
Exactly.
There was no point to him doing this.
And that's where we start to see characters in the second part. It feels like everything got more careless.
Yes.
And sloppy. It's like we have learned. Because
we see from the very first movie when he's out with his dad, him freaking out, being out and being by the waterfall.
Exactly.
And his dad being like, don't worry.
Exactly. He looked at his dad like he was about to
lop
off his head. Like, what are you doing right now? We can get dead. You come over here to commit like murder, suicide or something?
Exactly. So him putting down the kid, already having a hurt foot, then deciding that he's going to walk around, do some snooping around.
The character wouldn't do that. Exactly. So
he's too scared to want to go outside.
Exactly. He's a cautious type.
Yes.
And even if he had gotten, Christopher, he even said to the sister, "Don't go. I'm going to tell mom."
Exactly.
It's like this boy would not. Would not left that bunker with the baby.
It honestly feels like, I think you said this as well while we were watching. Is like they needed to feel screen time, and they needed to give the actor something to do.
It's like they could have just left his character for a while, though.
But there wouldn't be any tension. Then there wouldn't be a whole thing with the aliens.
No. There wouldn't have been any issues caused exactly when the alien and the mom is there later on. But
it just feels so lazy.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's sloppy. It's sloppy.
It's very sloppy. It's like,
it could have been done better where we actually believe that boy, his name is Marcus. Marcus would go up there. Why would he go up there?
There's no reason to go up there.
Exactly.
Literally zero reason to come up in there. But they're like, oh, curiosity, kid.
No. Marcus is not
curious of all the kids.
Exactly. Marcus is scared and intelligent
and smart enough to not go fucking around inside the place.
Exactly.
I think definitely that was my biggest issue of this entire movie. It's like, look at how they massacre my boy.
Exactly.
It's just like, why would he do this? This is stupid. This is dumb. Everybody else, I understand the sister. We've seen the sister go off and do whatever since the first movie, right? So we already know she's like impulsive or whatever. This kid is not like his sister.
No, he isn't.
He isn't just gonna go and sneak around and be like, oh, I want to see what's going on in this place, and then get frightened, and then all of a sudden there's sound demons.
Exactly. He wouldn't go there because Again, he's not that type.
No.
His character
I
is
want to
not
stay
that
alive.
type.
I already
Exactly.
hurt my foot. I'm going to stay with the
Exactly.
baby.
That's another thing that I said. His foot is hurt.
Why are you going and putting pressure on it and limping
Exactly.
about?
He would not do that.
It was just that one moment that's just like, this is annoying.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
Yeah.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
And that snowballed into a whole bunch of issues.
I think that's what they were going for. They were like, we need to have something happen to the mom and the kid while the daughter is out having her adventure with
What
the
would
guy.
you have done?
What I would have done is that the mom just like herself or something, she runs into the people, because later on the daughter runs into people
Right.
like down the road. I would have it that the mom is walking back and she runs into people, right? And she gets away and somebody starts making noise. And she ends up running and probably leads in monsters back to the cave or whatever. I would have something like that instead. But I guess they were like, no,
They wanted, I don't know why they had to like put solely the driving of story on the children.
because
I don't understand.
we see why at
We
the
see
end.
why at the end.
It's
Do
like-
we?
It's kind of, but let's go back to the daughter and Emmett. What was her name?
Reagan.
Reagan? That was her name?
I looked up.
Ah,
I
okay.
don't know if they ever said it.
So they're trying to get to the island. It gets dark when they get to the port to get a boat.
Right.
And people show up, and this is another scene which I hated, in that all of a sudden there are other people. The guy had mentioned that the people that are out there, they're not good people anymore. So I'm guessing they're like going to steal their stuff and
He
take
meant
the girl.
in the world.
In the yeah, they didn't in the world, yeah, whatever. But so they come across these hooligans, these
The
idiots.
scene was too long.
It lasted so
And they were cutting between what was
That
happening with
there,
Marcus
yeah.
and what was happening there, and it wasn't nice.
It
I did
wasn't-
not like it.
I didn't like it either, because I knew these people were going to get eaten by the sound demons, so I wasn't even worried about what will happen to Reagan or Emmett. And I was just like, this is a useless scene.
What do they call it when they try to show you that these things are happening simultaneously in movies?
Simultaneously. You
That's
just said
not,
it.
I wasn't looking for the word, but I was looking for like if there
The
is a
actual
term
term?
for when they do that.
Annoying. Because that's how I found this entire sequence of events. But yeah, then eventually they get away from the idiots, because
Yeah.
they're not even like necessary to talk about. They came, they slowed down the story for a bit. The sound demons showed up,
Right.
and they got sound demoned.
Right.
You know, so they get on the boat and
They
get it
reach
to the island.
Yeah.
And the island is sound demon free. And people are talking, and they're happy, and they're fine. Kumbaya, my lord.
Well, they're still quiet.
They're still
but
quiet.
they're still they chatter.
They
don't
chatter.
whisper.
Yes,
Which
they
is
talk.
I don't really understand.
The sound demons can't swim. They can go around in the water, but they can't swim across long stretches of water.
Really?
That's what it means. So that's why they're out on the island. And well, they explain that, oh, we have this thing that can shoot out the thing. They don't do it immediately
Right.
because it was night. But then later on, Emmett discovers that, oh no, the sound demons made it across on an extra boat as well. And then they sound demon up the little Kumbaya community.
It wasn't an extra boat, it was their boat.
It wasn't the boat that they were on.
Wasn't it?
It was a different boat. It was the boat. Okay, you remember when the girl pulls him onto a boat and sails off? That was the boat that they were. The other boat that the monsters were on. There were two of them that were on there, and that ended up sailing across with them as well.
I see.
Later on. So yeah, that was the boat that they were in. So they got to the island, screwed up some people. The one black guy who I know from a whole bunch of stuff gets killed.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, yeah. You gotta have that one horror tour of the black guy getting killed.
I said that's why Hollywood isn't right.
But anyways, so they get to this is down to the last bit of the movie. So they get to the, what you call it, broadcast antenna. And at this point in the movie, I was kind of like, okay, let's just end it, because
Another point before that is when
continue.
they were in the vehicle, um, and the guy
All
was
right,
pressing the horn, and they were trying to lead the creature away. However,
it jumped on the car.
why did not the girl
Get
die
eaten
or them get ripped out?
because that was just a
These
fabric top too.
these I don't like things that are not
Well, the car was going very fast, so the sound demon couldn't
Christopher.
keep himself on properly.
No.
Even though he threw
It
himself,
ripped in
and he should
there.
have gone, it should have ripped further and grabbed Reagan's head off. I
There's
know.
some things I just cannot believe.
But yeah, they get to the end, almost died to the sound demon, and they eventually put the little hearing aid police thing and spread the noise throughout the broadcast channel everywhere. And at the same time, Sound Demon was still around. We're back with the mom and the kid,
Right.
and we get this two scenes where the two kids are, she in the sound studio while the sound is going is walking towards the sound demon to kill it. The son, who has the radio that they were listening to originally, who now has the noise coming through, slowly walking towards the sound demon where he is, and he shoots it while Reagan kills the one that she is facing.
Right.
You see, it's a ball about the children who will now be, are the future. They're the ones worth saving.
Right. Okay.
Part two is the sloppier of the two movies.
I don't think that a 3 is necessary.
I
did
know where
not
they're
even
going to.
think
It's not
that a
three. I
2
think they're
was
doing like
necessary.
another series, or maybe.
No, it was. What do you mean another series?
I think they're doing
It
a
was supposed to be a
series.
trilogy. That's what I
Why?
read.
Why would they make another one? I mean, the world has potential, but we've already proven that.
We've proven
They
how you
probably,
kill a world
we
in
know,
part 2.
they'll probably. I bet you part two still continues on. But
Listen, let
they'll
me
be
tell
like
you what
trying
we
to
need to
they're
know.
probably
What
actively
do we need
fighting.
to know? We
Nothing
need
really.
to know more about these creatures. Do they have any other weaknesses?
No.
Is the high frequency thing the only, and that only like this makes them vulnerable a little bit, and disorients them, but it doesn't kill them.
Bullets.
Exactly. You still have to kill them, and I
Blunt
guess that
trauma.
works because when the frequency is on, they open like their head, mouth, ear thing, and
Yes.
that's their area. Is, but you know what I would have liked to see?
What?
I would have liked to see just a little bit of where they came from, like the family in the world. Like why are they intelligent?
I don't know. I guess they just
And
figured out stuff, man.
And then, exactly, that's another thing. I would like to see how they figured out some things. Do you remember there was a part when the girl was she was like walking into the house and going down like to the area where the dad said not to go, and he grabs her. So on the floor, there are panels that are painted, right? I assume those are the panels that don't creak.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the panels would have had to creak, or several would have had to creak at times, and brought monsters. You get what I'm saying? Things like that. It's like, how did you figure out this and what happened at that time?
It seems that at one point in time there were still news and stuff, so I assume like a whole bunch of information was sent out to people before everything shut down. Because remember, we saw in the newspapers like they get underground. Sound is what gets them, and then like the one last movie newspapers was like, you are on your own.
That's something that I don't understand as well. So
How was newspapers getting out?
exactly.
Because the entire world didn't fall yet. I assume that the entire world didn't fall yet, and there
They
was
should
still
show us.
time. I feel that maybe the trilogy might be a flash. The trilogy, I haven't looked at anything about it. Or the third movie probably will be either something that's going to show us more of that beginning stages, or it's just going to give us a different group who has the technology to utilize
Exactly. At this
the
point, we
sound as
don't
a
need to
super
see
weapon.
we don't need to see the family that we've seen
No, we
anymore.
need to switch to a different protagonist to
Yeah.
see. We need to see a little bit of the new. We're probably going to see a little bit of the new protagonist on their day one or their days when they first like stuff was going on when and the aliens first showed up or whatever in the world, and then we're going to get a flash forward to where they are now with the information that
We
people
don't
know.
really need a flashback,
No, but
really, for
we'll
them.
probably do it for or whatever because the fact that two movies have already followed one family kind of already makes you be like, there isn't a necessary for a three.
You know, like how The Purge follows different people, different groups of people,
Oh, it does. I
doesn't
didn't
it?
know.
Yeah, The Purge followed different groups of people,
Hmm.
each The Purge movie. They could have done something like that.
But I mean, you already invested with this
I'm not
new
invested
family.
with the family. After the dad got killed, I was like,
That
this
was a
is
good.
a remarkable movie.
Yes, it was
The
good.
From the beginning to end, it was just like on. I like it. There's some things, but I get over those.
But it
I
was
I
good.
like it. And it did not need. We didn't need
You
a
didn't need a
second. I have to
sequel.
say. I have to say.
We
But
could
we
have.
watched it, and it was like, this is not. This is not
It's
it.
it's competent. It is competent in what it sets out to do. It's just that a few things are just
Sloppy.
sloppy. Yeah, it's not like the thing is sometimes the sequels to horror stuff kind of suck, but here it's not bad. I would still rank this pretty good. It's just that the few sloppy moments are just they bring you out, and you can clearly see that they're sloppy and unnecessary.
Okay,
So
so how would you rank it then?
I ranked the first one, better as
Okay,
a
right,
eight.
obviously, but eight.
Eight for the first one, a
I agree with that. It's an eight
seven
for me
or
as well.
lower for the next one.
Yeah, I give the part two a six.
I give part seven if it was ranking out of 10. Yeah, definitely because it is a good movie and a good sequel. That
It's an okay
it's a
sequel.
good sequel. It doesn't go too far. It still follows the same characters relatively, and you still care and there's still attention and stuff. It's just a few little instances where you're just like, this is terrible, this kind of sloppy, and this is kind of boring, you know. But other than that, it is good. I don't know what they're going to do for a trilogy or the third movie. I really don't know where they're going to go. There are a few places where they can go, but they're most likely going to switch protagonists or a family group. You might see them show up as a cameo, but I don't expect to see this family again. Most likely, until we watch the third one 2 years from now, and then they actually are the stars
If
again.
they're going to do that, the baby better not be a baby.
The baby will be a 2-year-old baby, or maybe it'll flash forward like 10 years into the future, and it'll be following the son or
I don't
whatever.
even mind that.
And he'll be like some man, he'll be the new president of the United Soundless States or whatever. I don't know, man, where the hell I'm going with this, but yeah, who knows? There is potential because even though they have spread the thing, getting rid of these things are not going to. It's not going to be instant. We don't know how many there are.
Exactly.
We don't know how fast they have bred over the last like year or two since they've initially. And the fact that it was so fast that they completely shut down everything in the world means that there are millions of them probably.
Again, I'm gonna say this. I think that if they wanted to do this sequel, it should have followed other people,
It should
another
follow
group,
other people.
and then they're saying that it was meant to be a trilogy. Then that should follow another set of people. But I guess it may be too late in the game. We've been following this family for two already. It's like
But their story's complete.
their story was no, it wasn't like complete, but they already had their period in my life, and I like what I saw in the first movie. Not so much the second.
But yeah, I enjoyed watching the two of these. I would. There are worse things I could have watched, but I will say this was the idea, the concept of sound monsters, and it was good. It was different from other things. Like there's tons of monsters that pick up on sound like zombies or whatever. That's the one creature that is like compared to this, because zombies hear something, they run in that direction, and
Yeah.
if they're fast zombies, they're like the worst, like Train to Busan. So
That's actually what I thought of in the last scene when the dad sacrifices himself. I
yeah,
remember the dad at the end as
Train,
well.
Train
How
to
he,
Busan.
yeah.
Yeah. You can't outrun things that are very fast and just want to eat you for lunch.
Yeah.
I remember when we were talking about how we keep mentioning when we were watching the whole wherever this little deaf girl goes, death seems to follow.
Uh,
It was a terrible joke, but it was like the brother, then the dad, then all of these people. But I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it?
first, yeah.
I think I'll give the director another go or whatever. Like if he's, I'll trust him if he's doing a third movie. I'll
If
give
he's
it a go.
writing it, then I have to say no. You're gonna have to, up his game, get some help, and get better. They're saying, I think 2025 is when it's going to be released. That should give him enough time to,
Better.
improve himself. Anyhow, that's it from us.
We hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Good night, everyone.